go to the index or I go to the chapter section in the front and I pick and choose which parts I'd like to read first. Hello everyone, my name is Julia. I am a certified Montessori teacher as well as a mum of a 20-month-old named Isaac and a stepmom to an 8-year-old named Asher. Today's video is all about what books you can pick up to read as an adult and or a parent who's interested in the Montessori method, philosophy, as well as some subcategories. If you are new here and you haven't yet clicked that subscribe button, please do that, as well as that notification bell so you'll get alerted somewhere as to when I post a video. All right, let's get into it. The first books that I'm going to recommend are just to do with Dr. Maria Montessori herself and her life work and her method. And most of these are from the list of books that I had to read during my training. I don't actually have the hard copies of them. Most of them are currently at my parents' house where they have more storage, but I will be sure to show you the pictures of all of them. The very first one to read is Maria Montessori, Her Life and Work by E.M. Standing. And this is a great book if you want to learn all about her life. It's just a biographical book. It was one of the first books I read when I started the training, and I couldn't put it down, to be honest. The next book that you can pick up to read is this one, Maria Montessori, The Discovery of the Child. This is a super technical book. This is one of the books which very scientifically breaks down the exact ways to teach certain concepts to a child. So it's super technical. You can, I had to read this very thoroughly as a part of my training. However, if it's interesting for you, if you're someone who likes technical analysis, let's say, this would be a good read. And to go along with this book is kind of the second book of this, which is The Secret of Childhood. So again, it's a technical book, and it's a very dense read, but you don't have to read it from cover to cover per se. You can just pick up sections which you feel are most interesting to you or which you would like to learn most about. And then of course, on the technical side of an analysis side of books, you can I would also recommend picking up The Absorbent Mind by Maria Montessori. And although this is in that technical category, it very much talks more about the philosophy of how a child absorbs things and sensitive periods and the wonder that happens in those intrinsic moments of learning. Another book, which I also read during my training, was Peaceful Children, Peaceful World by Aileen D. Wolfe. So that book is much more focused on the peace education part. And if you're a parent of an older child, a grade school, elementary aged child, Dr. Maria Montessori did add on to the Absorbent Mind series, just breaking down her method. This book is called The Advanced Montessori Method. So again, if you're into more of a scientific breakdown of some of the presentations and the reasons why, be sure to check that one out. And finally, if you do want another book of an analysis of the Montessori method from a different perspective, from somebody else who has studied Dr. Maria Montessori, please do check out Montessori, The Science Behind the Genius by Angeline Stoll-Lillard. Great read. I myself haven't finished reading this book, but I have read sections of it and it is super approachable again. The next books I'm going to talk about are more to do with sort of general philosophy of parenthood that either relate to or are inspired by the Montessori method. So of course, if you have a young child and you're interested in Montessori, I'm sure you've heard of this book. This is probably the most approachably written book on toddlerhood for and how to apply Montessori philosophies and practices at home or in a class with your toddler. I should just say actually that what frustrates me when I see other people recommending books is that I don't know if they've actually read the entire book or not. Let's face it, first of all, when you lie down to go to sleep at night and you pick up a book to read, how many pages do you actually get through before your eyes just really don't want to open up again back to the top of the page when you get to the bottom of the page? So when I pick up a book like this, I go to the index or I go to the chapter section in the front and I pick and choose which parts I'd like to read first, which parts that I personally feel that I need to work on the most. So with this list of books I have read not necessarily cover to cover, but I have read maybe cover to cover just in sections and segments over a very long period of time. So this one I have mostly read through just for my own interest to see. A lot of this stuff I do already know of, I have learned about again, but this is a great book to start if you really want to understand how to apply Montessori with your smaller child. And honestly, reading through this, even if you have an older child, this is super applicable as well. Talks about things like approaching feelings, validating, following your child, observing, breaking down things into smaller chunks, and all of these are very applicable to an older child as well. The book that I am currently reading right now, which I took off the cover, it's called No Drama Discipline. And it's by Dr. Daniel J. Siegel and Dr. Tina Payne Bryson. And again, I'm reading section by section. I picked up this book because drama is something that I know I need to work on. I realize that the redirecting or discipline methods that you would use in a classroom can be quite different to the ones that you use at home, especially if you have different circumstances at home, such as we do with a blended family. I'm really enjoying this one. It's been quite illuminating in many ways. So think about which areas in parenting you would like to know more information of to start off of and go from there. For me, it was very much understanding how to approach really big feelings at home in a way that is different than how you would necessarily approach it at school. And if you have an older child, I highly recommend looking into Kohlberg's theory of moral development. And there's a good book which I had started reading when I was teaching middle school, and so I've read sort of little bits and pieces here. It's Moral Development, a Guide to Piaget and Kohlberg. And if Piaget sounds familiar to you, you would be correct in that Dr. Maria Montessori actually took a lot of her methodology from the child psychologist Piaget. He was a French child psychologist. He actually invented the 3-period lesson, which Dr. Maria Montessori then adopted and used as well. So just moral development, why people and children do certain things in order to get other things is really useful. Also, if you have a preteen or a teenager, I would recommend the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens by Sean Covey. I actually taught this as an entire unit throughout the year in middle school and really loved that was included in sort of the curriculum of personal development for middle school. The kids, it's a simple read for the kids too, and we would have lots of philosophical discussions, lots of sort of critical thinking about what are consequences for certain actions, whether positive or negative. So those are all the titles that I wanted to bring up today. Most of those are pretty good places to start if Montessori philosophy and Montessori herself are appealing to you. Please let me know if there's any other read on parenting in general that you found really helpful, and let me know in the comments below because we can always be better parents and make ourselves learn about how to be better parents. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and please stay safe, stay sane, and I'll catch you next time.